I'm here with Mr. Freedman to talk with him about his experience at the 2008 presidential inauguration. So, Mr. Freedman, how did you get there?
Well, we flew in, we landed in Washington, D.C., and I guess we got there the night before, and we stayed with some friends who were living inside the city. And the only reason why we were actually able to even get to inauguration was because we were staying inside the city, and there were hundreds of thousands of people trying to get in. But if you weren't staying in the city, since all the roads were closed outside, there was no way of getting in. So we were very, very lucky to be that close to inauguration.
Who did you go with?
I went with a couple of my friends that I went to college with, as well as I went with a few people that work for Channel 10 News as well.
Were there a lot of people there?
Millions. I have never been in such a small place with so many people, and I was so surprised because everybody's attitude was so positive, and the lines were so long and the streets were so busy, but everybody was in such a good mood that it really didn't feel like millions of people.
How filled up was the mall?
The mall, even though when you saw it on television it looked like everybody was standing right on top of each other, we were very, very lucky. We were much further back than I guess it appeared to be on television. The mall was full, but in my opinion, I think they could have probably squeezed in maybe another 500,000 people.
What was the weather like there?
The weather in the morning was extremely cold. As we were walking to inauguration, we slowly started losing the feelings in our fingers and toes, and while we were waiting for President Obama to take his place as the next president, we were standing on the lawn at the National Mall, and we had to keep walking around because the cold from the ground was slowly creeping up into our feet, and several of our friends that went with us didn't have the right socks and shoes on, so they had to buy these chemical warmers which are activated by rubbing them together, and they had to put them in their shoes because by the time the people that we were waiting to see were showing up, they could no longer feel their feet. So it was extremely painful. I'd have to say it was probably in the morning in the low 30s, and it warmed up to the mid 40s by the afternoon.
Was there any snow on the ground?
Not that I could see. No, there really wasn't any snow that we could see, but it was very, very much winter. Everybody was wearing thick, heavy coats, and those that were not wearing thick, heavy coats had blankets wrapped around them and everything else that they could possibly find to keep themselves warm.
Were there a lot of vendors there?
You know what? I was surprised. On the streets, it was out of control. People were coming from all over the country just to go out there and sell Barack Obama merchandise, and it ranged from everything from pins, buttons, and T-shirts to inaugural plaques, all sorts of paintings and original artwork. But once you got to the National Mall, the vendors were extremely limited because the closer you got to where the center of the activity was, the tighter the security got. So when we got to the National Mall and we wanted to get some hot chocolate and like a snack or something, we were in a lot of trouble because, you know, when you're going to stand in line at an event like that and they only have 2 or 3 large food and beverage tents, people were standing in line for 2.5 to 3 hours just to get a cup of hot coffee or hot chocolate.
What was the security like? Was there a lot of sharpshooters or?
There was all different kinds of security. There was so much security there that you really couldn't even tell who was a spectator and who was security. You had regular undercover cops out and about checking the situation to make sure that everybody was safe and secure. Those, obviously, we had no idea who they were, but there were supposedly hundreds of them out there. In addition to that, they had the National Guard out there, and we could see them on the streets. They were posted up by their Humvees and their transportation vehicles. In addition to that, there were hundreds and hundreds of Washington, D.C. police officers, and from what I was to understand, they had many different groups of police officers from all over the country that had actually flown in to help with security because they knew that there was going to be that many people in such a small area. We did see sharpshooters on top of just about every single building that you could think of that was probably higher than 8 to 10 stories high. On the National Mall where we were sitting, we could probably see 2 sharpshooters about 300 yards away, and with every group there was at least 2 members. One was a spotter, one was a shooter, and they made themselves very, very clearly known that they were there.
Did you see any celebrities when you were there?
As a matter of fact, yes, we did see some celebrities. We saw Debbie Wasserman Schultz, our representative, as well as Representative Ron Klein from the state of Florida. We also met Chef Spike from Top Chef, who was a friend of a friend, and he welcomed us to his restaurant in downtown Washington, D.C. It was a really, really nice place. I guess he was recently down here for the Miami Food and Wine Festival as well.
Are you excited for this new president?
I am. This is definitely, like I was saying earlier, this is a major crossroads in American history. We're about to see a lot of new and interesting developments over the next several years or several months. Who knows what's exactly going to be happening down the line? But I think we picked an excellent leader as a nation, and like I was saying, I was very excited to be part of history.
Well, thank you, Mr. Freeman, for taking the time to tell us about your experience at the 2008-2009 presidential inauguration.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.